And today's guest on the Financial Planner Life podcast is Chris Ball, CEO of Hoxton Capital Management here in Dubai. And it's extra special because I'm now working at Hoxton. I like to call these podcasts the Hoxton Life. So we're going to talk about what's changed in the last 3 years since Chris has been on my podcast, what the international market looks like, what is his vision for the future. This is a fantastic episode if you're interested in learning more about Hoxton and the international advice market. So Chris, how cool is this? You're back on the Financial Planner Life podcast. 3 years ago was your first appearance. And who would have thought I'd be sitting in Dubai with you in this fantastic studio with this great view? Not only that, I am now head of creative for your business, Hoxton Capital. So technically, you're my boss. I work for you.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, yeah. Working on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's weird, man, because like I've been running my own business for 15 years. So to come in and then be employed is strange. But I did my due diligence on the market, and I've done my due diligence on the people who run the businesses within financial planning now internationally. So when I came in, we connected and we spoke about your vision for what you want to build here at Hoxton to be the #1 international financial planning business. It really struck a chord with me. Whilst I've been running a recruitment business, it's now sold, and building out the Financial Planner Life podcast, in the back of my mind, I've always had a burning ambition to want to build a financial planning practice. So your vision, your innovation, everything you're doing, and we're going to learn about that today on the podcast, struck a chord with me. So as you said, get on the bus, Sam, and let's work it out.
Yeah.
So here I am, I'm on the bus, I'm in Dubai, and I'm getting stuck in. And we're getting stuck in with the podcast today to learn exactly about your journey since the last time we spoke and where we're going to be going on the Hoxton bus. You up for it?
I'm very much up for it. Yes, indeed.
Fantastic. I'll tell you what, Chris. So 3 years ago, you were on the podcast. Tell us a little bit about what's happened in that 3 years. What changes have happened? What big things have happened at Hoxton?
A lot. A lot's happened since we last spoke 3 years. I think, look, as a business, obviously, it's 50% or an extra 100%. It was only 3 years old when you first started talking to us, and now we're 6 years old. Still very much in our, infancy in terms of growing and in terms of building the business, but I'd like to feel that we're much more established. We've changed the track of the business in terms of the advice that we've given to much more holistic, much more, much more client-led in terms of actually financially planning. We were, very geared to pension transfers for expats 3 years ago. And now obviously that market is not there. We've, realised that actually there's a lot more to financial planning, and, it's enabled us to really grow as a business. We've taken on a lot of great people. So we're now 248. I can't remember what it was last time I spoke to you. It would have been less, yeah. But we've also been more than 248 during that time as well. So, anyone in the financial planning anyone in the financial planning profession will tell you 2022, 2023 were tough years. Markets were down, interest rates went up. It was a tough time to be a financial advisor. And I feel now in 2024, we're in a really positive space. There's a lot of good momentum behind what we're doing and behind the general profession as well. It's a good time to be a financial advisor. So, we've cut and we've trimmed in the places that we needed to. I think like with any fast growing business, that's always a worry, you grow really quickly and can you sustain that? And also, you become fat in certain areas and you overlook certain things. So it was a really good chance for us to reflect and to make sure that the business was good. We've got some fantastically, brilliant people that work for the business. Obviously, you've just hired yourself, which is great. We'll include you in that, of course. But, the advisor talent that we've been focusing on, chartered financial planners. I know we'll talk about maybe one of them later that's coming to run our UK offices. Jacob's been promoted to head of advice. He's probably one of the most caring people I know. And, we've got a really, really good quality team of people that have been with us for a long time as well. And I think that's what a lot of people worry about is, might it work out, might it not work out for me? At Hoxton, and what I would say is our key management team have been there with me pretty much from the start. I mean, Alan and Paul have been there from pretty much day dot. Charlie's come in, and hope he doesn't go anywhere because I'd be lost without him. Christine, who's been with me for coming up, it must be 10, 11 years now. Julie in HR, everyone that is on the bus that is doing a good job will continue to be on there. as long as they want to, and as you know, as long as we're all working together. We're a team, we're not a family. But you know, that's important because we all want great team players around us, and we all want to push in the right direction.
You said you're a team, not a family.
Yeah.
I never massively liked the term family.
Yeah.
When someone described my business as a family, it's not a family.
No.
It's a team. Why are you so distinct about that?
Because I think in a team you have to pull your weight. In a family you can drag along. And I think that's unfair to everyone else in the business as well. If you're not doing your job that you've been brought in to do, that really impacts everyone else within the business.
Yeah.
You know, that unfortunately drags other people down and doesn't enable them to do it. There's a really interesting Reed Hastings, who runs Netflix. He made a really good point. They cut a lot of people and they were really worried about the productivity. But the people they cut, they found out, were actually slowing down everyone else within the business. Because, it's not just one person does one thing. It's multiple people do multiple things. And they interact. And how they interact is how well they do. If this side is lagging, it doesn't enable you to do your job well. So, it was as any business, any growth, anything that what you do, you learn by experience, and not everything always works out how you envisage it to. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But you've got to be able to look into the distance and say what is right for the business. You have to take sometimes emotion out of it. I might really like the person, but if it's tough and they're not doing what they need to do, then you need to have a serious conversation. If they don't manage to sort out the issues, then it has to be time to part ways, and that's good for them because they hopefully will go and do something that they want to do well going forward. But it's also important for the business to continue to grow. So that's what I mean. Long way of describing it: team versus family. Yeah,
and I also love the fact that you've got a leadership team, and the leadership team is very diverse.
Yeah,
and also in that leadership team, everybody's doing something different.
Yeah,
they all have a skill set. But one of the things I've noticed very early on, it almost feels like shades of grey because they're all kind of quite interlinked as well. So there's certain types of personalities. It's like a rainbow, if you like, of a leadership team.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's kind of complementing each other, but they're actually quite closely linked. So you've picked your leadership team really, really well.
Yeah.
It seems to connect. You haven't got anybody out there who's just completely rogue.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be working as a team, working as a unit.
No one's a maverick.
Yeah, I can move through it really easily. But each time you move through it really easily, that person's got a huge skill set that I'm not experienced in. So I can lean really, really quickly. If I want to talk about finance, Charlie's there. He's the man around finance. If I want to talk about operations, strategy, bang, over to you. You're like, Sam, sit down. We're going to work this out. Jake, massively empathic, isn't he? He's like a great guy. You know that he knows everything that's going on with each and every one of those people that are in that business. Yeah. Paul, what a great guy when it comes to compliance. Like, I'm really looking forward to getting him on the podcast and getting everyone to understand actually what goes into running an international firm. Because I think people on the outside, right, look at the international market and have kind of poo-pooed it massively based on what they hear on Facebook groups. Look, historically, there's some bad things that might have happened, right? Running an international business, you've got 6 jurisdictions, 6 different types of regulators, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can imagine running a business in the UK with the FCA breathing down your neck. You've got 6.
Yeah. I mean, look, regulation's a good thing. Number one, we all know that, but we all know it's hard work. So anyone in the UK will tell you that dealing with all of the regulations that you have to make sure that you adhere to be able to operate correctly and successfully as a financial advisor or building your business in the UK is tough. It's not an easy option. Now, you times that by 6, that takes a certain skill set and a certain person to be able to do that. Thankfully, that's not me. Thankfully, that is Paul, who is that person. But it's about identifying the people that do well in those roles. I mean, Paul is so multifaceted in terms of his ability to be able to understand in the different jurisdictions what's needed and what's not needed. He didn't have that when he came to us. He's developed that over time. But he's rapidly done it as we've rapidly scaled as well. And also, we employ experts in the region. So in UK, got a head of compliance who's just focusing on the UK with 3 file checkers underneath. In Australia, we have a head of compliance. In the US, we actually outsource our compliance to a company, and the person that deals with us in that company used to work for the SEC. Locally, Paul is an expert with ESCA and DIFC, with the DFSA. Which is something obviously we'll touch on in a minute. But we've got a lot of bases covered. In Europe, we outsource that as well. So, it's not kind of there's one person just trying to look after and pretend they know everything. It's about taking it seriously, Sam, because if you don't get that part of the business right, everything fails very, very quickly. Compliance, any financial planner will tell you now, is such an important part. Now, it shouldn't be everything, but it's one of the foundations, it's one of the building blocks. If you don't get that right, you have not got a financial planning business. You are putting your business at risk. You are putting the people's jobs that work for you at risk, and you're putting your clients at risk, which no one wants to do under any circumstance. So we spend 7 figures a year on compliance across the business. That's the scale that we operate at, that's the investment that we do, but we don't see it as a cost. It is an investment into making sure that our business is valuable going forward.
Something happened, didn't it, in the last couple of years? You were put under a bit of pressure. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that kind of pays testament then to the actual business and the strength of it.
Look, I mean, we're all very familiar. I won't name names but I'm sure I've seen the press anyway. So Bright Advisors, when that happened, the debacle that happened there, regulators around the world were all of a sudden very, very interested in companies that operated internationally. It was last year, kind of March, April time, we got a knock on the door from one regulator. Then 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, we got a knock on the door from the other and another and another. So we had 4 regulatory inspections last year in terms of scratching beneath what we were doing and trying to find out a little bit more about what's going on. Number one, I don't believe in coincidence. So I was thinking, what on earth is going on? Why 4 all at the same time? Number two, it was anyone that's been through any kind of regulatory oversight, or, as a big business, regulators want to understand what's going on in your business. They have every right to. They want to make sure that clients are being treated fairly and looked after, which is what they're there to do. That's their job, and that's a good thing. It's stressful because you don't know you don't know where you are. You don't know why. It's kind of like, it's not kind of like you've done this, this, and this. It was kind of and it's an inspection. It's an audit into what you're doing. So we had 4 knock on the door at the same time. We had the SEC, we had ASIC, we had the FCA, and we also had the local regulator, Securities and Commodities Authority, through the different businesses. So clearly, kind of hindsight 2020, you look back and you go, okay, that's the reason why. They'd obviously honed into something that was happening there with Bright maybe, and then they were like, right, all the other businesses that operate in that kind of way, we're going to look at more and we're going to check. So we went through that. Paul did an amazing job, countless hours, but not just Paul, multiple people from the business chipped in to make sure that we had all the information, all the management information that they wanted, all of the files. It was a lot of work, and it would take me all day to name all the people that were there. They know who they are, and they've done an amazing job on it. But we got through it. So SEC came back with, a regulator will always come back with some comments that you can do better. That's a good thing as well. They're not sitting there kind of trying to cut you down. They're sitting there trying to make your business better. Actually, the SEC had a call with us to onboard us in the US and ask us, we're interested in finding out what we're doing and how we're doing it, and show us, these are the mistakes that other companies have made. You might want to do this, this, and this. I mean, amazing. A regulator telling you what you should be doing is fantastic. FCA, again, we sent files off. We've had chats with them, trying to, areas right that they were slightly unhappy with, and, all the other bits and pieces that go with it. The good news is, number one, we're still in business. Number two, no regulatory action across anything. And number three, we've got a much better insight now into what regulators want. So while it was really stressful at the time because you're going through all of these things, it's also important to understand that that's not a bad thing. They're going to be interested in what we're doing. We're international. We're not vanilla. We don't operate how a normal IFA would work in their country of residence. But, we now have a good working relationship with them. They know we're not out there to try and screw people over. They know, they've seen how we're giving advice and what we're doing. And, for me, they seem comfortable with it. So able to move on.
It's nice, isn't it, sometimes to put yourself in that state of discomfort, because when you are in a state of discomfort and the scrutiny's on you and the eyes are on you, you learn a lot about what it is you're doing, and you might sort of look at areas where it exposes weaknesses.
100%.
And it's good. It's good for you to feel uncomfortable, right?
100%. You want to put, like anything you do in life, you want to be on the edge of, if you're comfortable, then you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Would I have rather not have had them all come in at the same time? Definitely. Would Paul not? He might, yes, definitely. But they did. Yeah. And ultimately, you got to deal with the cards you get given. It's suck it up, buttercup. It's get things into shape, and and make the changes. If you don't make the changes and you keep messing up on the same point, that's when you got a problem.
I bet that built great team morale, mind.
It did. I mean, it can also break teams as well. You know, it's not just because that happens and if you all get through it, it's great, you slap yourselves on the back, but relationships can be fractured from that process depending upon how certain people react. I find myself personally, when I'm under a lot of pressure, I come out actually quite well from it. I tend to be much calmer than if I have a small problem, I can lose it sometimes. Like, small thing, but actually big problems when you need to be all grouped together, fantastic team, fantastic mentality. And, it was really positive, the outcome. And we're sitting here today growing our business exponentially, acquiring businesses in the UK and moving forward.
It's good to hear, actually, because big problems for me aren't an issue. It is small ones for me. I've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
A friend of mine used to always say it's the flies you've got to watch out for.
Yeah.
Because they build up. And if you don't deal with the flies, another fly will come along and another one, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, is it too much? Like, Overwhelm, yeah. The small ones, because you minimise them, don't you? You push them away.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, I don't need to think about that right now because I've got bigger things to think about. And if you don't deal with it, it builds up and another one comes.
Becomes a big problem.
Yeah, it becomes a big problem.
So the easiest time to put out a fire? When it first starts.
Yeah.
Now you don't, obviously, prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Clearly, but you want to put it out as soon as it happens. You don't want to give it oxygen, let it flame and let it turn into something big.
6 years then, you've done really well. So what's your AUM at the moment?
So our AUM is just over $2 billion at the moment, which obviously is, as we've seen, rapid growth. Again, that's being holistic. I mean, we're up to, I think, Q1 of 2024 was about 125 million sterling, that was. So what's that in dollars? $150 million of inflows into the business from, all the different areas and the different advisors. We've also, really looking at acquisitions now. It's acquired 3 IFAs in the UK, retiring IFAs, and started to integrate them into the business. That's been a learning curve as well. Again, out of our comfort zone, doing something that we haven't done previously. But really, really enjoyed that. It's been really satisfying to work with these people who have, it's their life's work.
Yeah.
And you're taking that and integrating it into your business and ensuring the continuity of service. These guys have had a personal relationship with some of these people for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
They're trusting you to take that forward. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Really big thing.
Absolutely. And also that, again, you've got to deal with that credibility of the offshore market, the international market, coming now into the UK, which is IFA as well. Everyone needs to understand that. You guys are IFA in the UK, right? Which is a big deal. It's good to be IFA. Dave Robinson would say on my podcast, IFA or the highway.
Yeah.
That did well, that podcast episode.
Yeah.
So it's good for them. What's their reaction when you say, we're an international firm?
Yeah, I think some people like it, some people don't. I mean, a few, ladies' business, Bartholomew Karen, who we acquired, she actually had a few international clients, people that were living abroad, people who maybe wanted that. So actually it fitted in really well. And the fact is that as a bigger business and operating across multiple jurisdictions, we have things that others might not. So we've got a tax team in-house, chartered tax advisor, chartered accountants that sit in our business advising people on tax, not financial advice. We have a legal team that deal with trusts and wills. We have investment advisors, we have financial planners, we have, all the facets of a business under one roof, financial planning business that you would want, which is really attractive to someone who's been operating as a one-man band and relying on other people. So they've embraced it. I mean, obviously it's not for everyone, and some people turn around and go, the whole international thing doesn't do it for me. But that's cool. You find that out at the start, and it's not right for everyone. We can't be everything to everyone. But establishing that local footprint and, working with the likes of the person that you've brought in, essentially, introduced to the business to run the UK side of it. And Nathan, our director in the UK, has been massive, to build out that local presence.
Yeah, you got a lovely office as well in St Albans.
Really nice, yeah.
I mean, it's great. I know we've been talking about, I don't want to say who it is who's joined, because I don't know when this podcast is going to be out, and we want to kind of announce it properly.
Yeah.
But somebody I've known for quite some time is coming in to head up the UK. And that's fantastic, isn't it? Because having somebody on the ground in the UK who understands the UK markets, understands the UK audience, not to say you don't, Chris.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't operated in that market. Let's just know.
There we go. Yeah, that's the general gist.
Let's call it for what it is.
It's good for, exactly. So having that person come on in and understand the UK market and start to be able to communicate and build a presence there is going to be huge. And some of the locations we're looking at in respect to building out office spaces, teams, flagship branches of our business is just going to be amazing. I understand the UK market. I talk to the UK market all the time, and I know there's such a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
For me, though, what's really interesting, another reason why I come on board, is the international side. I think sometimes the international advice gets played down a little bit too much, or gets, like I say, gets pushed to one side.
Yeah.
But the more you look under the bonnet and the more you understand it, the more huge opportunity there is. The world's becoming a smaller place. I mean, when we're talking about things like the 401ks over in the US, I mean, that's just a huge opportunity. The sheer volume of wealth in the US, and to sit down with an advisor in the UK who's advising US clients from the UK.
Massive.
He's like, what? I never really understood that and heard it. And the thing is, I don't think many advisors get it. They kind of push it to one side because they're hyper-focused on the UK.
Yeah.
But if they open their mind a little bit to the opportunity of being international, what will that bring them?
Yeah.
What level of service can they deliver? Do they become an international advisor? Is there a stigma attached to it? Does there need to be? No, I don't think so. I think it opens you up to the whole world.
Agreed. No, I think how I think of things is global, and that's very fortunate because I'm very fortunate in the fact that I've been operating in a global environment for a long time. So the business I last worked for was global. So that's pretty much all I've known. But if you think of big brands, they're global brands. They're not unique to that country. Yeah. So, the brand that I really like is HSBC. The reason why I like HSBC is it caters for everyone. So in the UK, you can go into a HSBC branch. It doesn't just mean because they're an international bank, you can only bank with them if you've got some US assets that you want them to take custody of, or you want, to open a US dollar bank account. You can go to them. You can have a sterling bank account. You can deal with them. They're great. But on the flip side, they can deal with really small clients. They can deal with really big clients. They can deal with super high net worth clients. Covers the whole spectrum. And that's what we're trying to do with Hoxton. We're trying to build this global brand, but has a local presence in the jurisdiction where you are. Yeah. I agree. And I think that as an IFA, it's very difficult if you're working with a client that has an asset that you can't help with. Because as an IFA, really to give full advice, you need to have a full picture of their overall wealth. The days of, don't deal with that, are gone. You need to be able to position and help people. And unfortunately, if you can't, and you are dealing with people that do have assets, let's say in the States, or want to retire to Europe, or want to go to Australia to work, or whatever it is, you will lose that client. Fact. They will find someone who can help them, and they will go from there. So for me, it doesn't mean just because you're working for an international business, you have to have clients all over the world. Far from it. But it gives you the opportunity to offer that service. It gives you the opportunity to attract those type of clients. And we all know, someone who has worked in the US for a long period of time is highly likely to need financial advice. And your services will be highly valued by that person, and they will be really, really important to them and their family's future.
I think as well, the whole smart move getting the tax under the roof as well.
Yeah. I mean, Mark and Dan are great.
Yeah.
Mark, older guy, chartered tax advisor, early 60s. Dan, early 30s, training, learning everything he can off Mark to take forward that business over time. Chartered accountant, chartered tax advisor, both, super intelligent guys. And that understand the space that we operate in. They're looking at it not from I need to do your tax return and I can't advise on that. They're looking at this from a international tax, understand UK, understand the European regimes and things like that, work with US tax advisors on that side. So they encompass a lot of the things that are needed for how we operate.
You touched on age there. Let's just quickly touch on that, because you're a young business.
Yeah, we are.
Hoxton is another reason why I'm attracted to it. To me, a young business isn't, about to exit. You're not building up towards an exit. You're looking to put your foot down.
Yeah.
You've got that growth mentality. So let's just talk about the culture of the business, the age of the business, the fact that you've got quite a fair few women in the business. It's multicultural.
Yeah.
You walk through the door, it's multicultural. Tell us a little bit about it, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's 16 different nationalities we've got in the business, which is, I don't know too many other IFAs that have that. We've got 30% of the people in our business are women. Obviously, I'd like that to be closer to 50%. Something we're actively working on and, trying to build out. But, that's really important. In it, I think, you told me that was it, 13% of IFAs are female, and, 87% are male. The fact that we're kind of bucking that trend, which is great. Average age in our business for an advisor at the moment is 37. Average age for a trainee financial planner is 29, I believe. It's a young, dynamic business. I'm 37 years old. I have no intentions of retiring. Number one, because my wife would probably end up divorcing me. Number two, I couldn't think of anything worse than to sit at home on my hands. And number three, I'm really passionate about what I do. I enjoy getting up for work every day. I couldn't imagine exiting and then trying to find my feet and doing something else. I really like it. But also to the point was, you know, I realised that I might not always be in charge of the business as well. If there's someone better to do it than me, I'm happy to hand the reins over and work with them on that as well. So yeah, so look, I think we're young, we're dynamic, we're utilising the way that the world operates now. We're not an old, stuffy financial planning business. We want to do cool things. You know, like bringing you in as head of creative. That's not a normal IFA traditional move. That is, you know, that is something that's a little bit forward thinking. Maybe a couple of years too late, who knows, you know, but the fact is we're doing it now. And, you know, the whole purpose of that is to try and elevate our brand, is to try and elevate the advisors, to give them opportunities as well. Put the name of our business out there. Obviously, you know, love the dynamic that you bring to the business. But they're the kind of things we're thinking about. The technology, you know, which maybe we'll come on to in a bit, but we know where the business will go over time. And ultimately, it's really important for us to be making moves forward, not making moves sideways.
Let's jump onto technology then, because you're massively tech focused.
Yes.
Tell us how many people you've got in your tech team, Chris.
So we've got 25 developers that work in-house. And, you know, led by Mansell. So Mansell is our CTO, insane, really, really great guy. You know, in fact, you know, and again, that's another profession that there's quite a high turnover. Our very first developer, Natch, is still with our business today. Lovely, lovely guy. You know, and we've brought people over from different countries to work, but that's 25 predominantly based here with us. We've developed out our back-end system, Matrix, and we've developed out our front-end system, which is the Hoxton Wealth app, and that's for our clients. The reason why we've had to do it, Sam, is because operating across multiple different territories, it's very, very difficult to find one operating system. It's impossible. There's no operating system for financial planners that operates across all those different jurisdictions. So we've had to build it from scratch, which is great. The front end, a lot of tools that advisors use or client portals are balance sheets. And by that, I mean, it's a snapshot of the valuation at that point in time. That's it. You know, that's great. Okay, great. I can see my valuation. But what next? Well, as a client, I want to go on there and I want to see if I've got enough to retire. I want to see when I can retire. And a lot of advisors will do that with cash flow planning. But if they're only seeing you once a quarter, once a year, whatever it is, then you're only doing that once. They want to play around with it in their spare time. They're sitting on the couch. We all do it on our phones, looking at, you know, what car I might buy next, what house I want to live. You don't want to have to go to a car showroom or go to a estate agents. You want to do it there and then. And it's the same with financial planning. I feel that people more and more going forward will want to do things quickly. We had a really interesting meeting the other day. So we have regular updates, quarterly meetings on what we're going to be doing over the next 3 months, reviewing what's happened over the past 3 months. And one of our things that we want to do is one day client. That's if I say that I want to invest, it shouldn't have to take 10 weeks for me to be able to decide what's best. It should be able to be done in one day. And in the age of the information and speed that we have available at our fingertips, we should be able to do that and turn it around. So that is our aim, is if you are interested in financial planning, you want to move it forward and you are ready at that point, you should be able to do it in a manner that works well with you. And, you know, we want to make that, whether that's 10 days, or whether that's, you know, one day, we want to make it as quick as it can be for you to be able to process, digest the information, obviously get all that, but for you to be able to take things at your speed, not at the speed that we set.
I love it. Again, another reason why I'm joining, Chris. I love hearing you talk about the future. I love hearing you talk about the solutions to problems that people are facing. That's, again, I think the innovation that comes from being in a young, dynamic company. You have that growth mindset that drew me to you.
Yeah.
You're definitely not somebody who's exiting out. And I love your vision and your North Star of being like an HSBC.
Yeah.
And ever since you said that to me, I'm like, yeah, I love that. I can think it, I can see it, I can visualize it in each and every one of those countries. And each and every one of those countries have a different culture, different client base, a different level of service. And we can play around with those in all those different jurisdictions, but it all sits underneath the Hoxton brand.
And it feels the same. It's joined up.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's brilliant. You were talking about that bit of technology there. So that's the app, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the app called?
Hoxton Wealth app. So within there, we've got for the advisors talking, I can kind of talk technical jargon. I've banned cash flow planning in my office is the word, because you say cash flow planning to a client, they're like, huh?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's about using words that are friendly for clients and that they understand. So we call it wealth flow.
Right.
So it's a flow of your wealth over time. What does that look like and how does that work? What you can do is you can connect all of your bank accounts. So you've obviously just moved from the UK to Dubai, prime example. You're going to have accounts in the UK, you're going to have accounts in Dubai, you are going to have investments, you're going to have stuff that we might manage, you're going to have stuff that we don't manage. But you want to see that all in one place. You don't want to be having to log on to 6 different places to pull off the information and get a view of your net worth. So what we enable them to do, first off, is link all of their accounts. And you can link bank accounts, you can link in investments, pensions, cars, houses, mortgages, liabilities, credit cards, everything can be linked on there. Pull it all in, gives you a snapshot of where you are today. And we use wealth flow to define where you want to get to. And then we understand whether you're going to fall short. Then we understand whether you're going to, massively exceed that. So therefore we need to start looking at legacy planning. The whole idea of wealth flow is to help you understand where you are. And that's the big, the 2 biggest questions I generally find that clients want to understand is when and how much. Like, when can I retire and how much do I need to have when I retire? We all see these Instagram adverts that say, or these Instagram people talking about, you need $1 million and you need this. And well, why? Why do I need $1 million? What is that going to give me? And the whole reason why you need a pot of money is to give you an income later on. Maybe to clear off your mortgage, maybe to, fund a couple of other bits and pieces. But the general premise of retirement is built around, I need an income then to take the income that I'm earning today and to enable me to have the same quality of life. So what do I need to do that?
It's building the habit as well, isn't it? So what we want the clients to do is to be going into their app all the time, checking on it. See, how is it performing? How's that?
Transparency. Sir.
Yeah.
You live in an age where you want things now.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait 3 weeks for me to send you a valuation that I've had to request from a provider. They post it to me. You want to see at the touch of a button now. I mean, to the point where you might look at Deliveroo. Deliveroo can tell you minute by minute how far the food is away from your house. If you're living in an age where that is possible, why can't you see real time everything that you have there and then? There is no reason.
No.
And ultimately, that's what we want to get to. We want, when you become a client, you understand where you are in the process. Like, your documents are currently getting compliance reviewed. Your documents, are on their way to you for review. Your meeting is, like almost like a pizza wheel, but for
like a timeline.
For clients. And that's what we want to get to. It's transparency. It's you being able to see where you are. And that's, generally where the most groans come from clients is they will get lost. They don't understand where they are. And for advisors, it's a lot of unnecessary time. You want to be advising clients on how to better their financial future. You don't want to be chasing up a provider and understanding when they're going to process the application form. You don't want to be, not understanding when things are in compliance. And these are all the systems and stuff that we're building to give the client transparency and also the advisor so they can focus on what they want to do.
You've always been process driven, because you're like, the one thing I'm learning from you in the short time that I've started working for you, you love a process. You love mapping things out, and there's a lot of time and energy in your business that goes into that. Has that come through working with tech people, or is that something you've always been able to build out? You like a process where you can see where there's opportunity to improve it, for instance?
Yeah, I think it's probably the latter, which is I've always been interested in improving the process. So I like a problem and I like trying to solve it.
Yeah.
And to do it, you need to understand what the process is to start off with. It's more engineering, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like engineering the process and maximising efficiency. I love efficiency. Like if things operate efficiently, like if I go into a hotel and I'm checked in my room in 5 minutes, I am buzzing. Like that's pretty sad, but I'm like, that's bloody efficient. Love that. I like to be on time for things. And that's my personality, and I realise that. And that's probably where the process driven comes through. Is I want to understand what that process looks like, and I want to understand, is it optimised as much as it can be to make sure that the person who is benefiting from that process is, is efficient as possible as it can be for that person.
Does that keep you awake at night?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I often wake up thinking about I could probably save half an hour here, 45 minutes there, if I did it this way.
Yeah, sweet. It's great because I'm getting
sad.
No, it's not. Do you know what? It's really not sad, because I'm learning a lot about you, and the more I'm talking to you, the more I learn about you, and I enjoy learning about people because we all operate differently, we all think differently, and it's about recognizing what can I do to work with that person in partnership and help that person to be content and happy in how they are delivering their job role? Can I add value in any way? And I'm learning it more and more. And I'm learning it about myself as well, which is great because, you know, I've never been I'm coming in as head of creative, mate. I made that roll up, didn't I? So I'm quite a creative person.
It's get on the right bus. It's like we were saying before, it's get the right people on the bus and then figure out where they sit.
Yeah.
And it was about getting you on and making sure that you were comfortable with where you sit.
Yeah.
And, you know, no doubt the head of creative, the actual job role underneath will change over time and evolve as you evolve. That's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
No issues with that. You know, it's not a regimented thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's sometimes, you know, actually where people do get confused is just because you're process orientated and efficient orientated, it doesn't mean that you are inflexible.
Yes.
Ultimately, you know, that's Jim Collins, is get the right people on the bus and sit them where they can sit. I mean, that guy's legendary in terms of management consulting and, you know, best practices for businesses and stuff like that. But it's, you know, so true. You were the right person to get on the bus. I saw that, you know, and, you know, as we say, we haven't talked for 3 years, but you and I have been catching up at multiple points along the way.
Touching point.
And, you know, and that's cool as well. It's like building that relationship. And just because something's not right now doesn't mean it won't be going forward. But the fact that we had that relationship, the fact that you made the bold move to come out, is the reason why we're sat here now.
We always shared ideas.
Yeah.
You know, I always came to you with something and like, I knew you would listen to it. I knew if I booked a time into your diary, you would entertain my idea.
Yeah.
And I pitched loads of things at you and because I knew you'd give me feedback and you'd be keen to hear it as well, I think. You soak up that information.
That's also the credibility that you bring as well. And you earn that credibility and respect. You know, it's not a given, you know, and the fact, you know, I think a lot of people need to realise that as well, is that the amount of in-post that you will get in your LinkedIn or I get, you know, people just expecting time, whereas you and I had built a proper relationship over time. And, you know, of course I'm going to listen to what you've got to say. I value what you say. I can see you can add huge value. There's a lot of people that don't, unfortunately, and it's demonstrating that first, which you did.
It's about being honest as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got to be honest. You've got to kind of lay on the table the areas that you're really, really good at and the areas that you need improving on. I never say you're bad at, because I'm just like, you definitely can improve everything. Neuroplasticity proves it with the brain. You are able to develop new neurological pathways and you can change your thinking. I've done that numerous times. So for me, coming into a business like this, I mean, I've been entrepreneurial for the last 16 years, right? I know my areas of weakness. I can self-reflect pretty damn well.
Yeah.
I crave that discipline. So coming into like a business that's way ahead of where I got mine and seeing that it's been done through discipline, process, procedure, it's like a breath of fresh air to me. And to know that I can ask somebody how to put a process in place or to keep me in check, because I crave that discipline as well. Because when you're creative, you can run away, everything's shiny, everything's brilliant, you have loads of ideas, but often you have all these ideas, you might not get anywhere.
Yeah.
And being able to come into a business where I can lean into multiple different people who can then help me on that journey and keep me on the track, if you like, it's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, I think the thing that you hit on there is the discipline and the focus to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people struggle with, in my opinion, is a lot of people have great ideas. And, you know, I don't believe that anyone has got the monopoly on good ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good ideas are everywhere. The difference between someone with a good idea and someone super successful is that the super successful person will execute that idea. But they will also not be afraid to give things a go. If they fail or don't work out, they will quickly make a change to recognise it. So fail quickly. But, you know, I'd like to think that we do provide that that basis. We do execute. We do say what we're going to do. You know, if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's important to create that atmosphere where people like you can come in, we can work together. You know, you're super creative. You've got all these great ideas. There's so much you brought to the table already that, you know, we've not thought about, and different ways of doing things. You want to surround yourself with people like that all the time that are raising the game in the areas that you're weak in and identifying, like you said, if you have a weakness in an area, yes, you can improve it. But if you want to improve it, the best way to improve it is to surround yourself with people that are much better than you. Yeah. It's the quickest way.
Yeah, that is the quickest way. It's hard, isn't it, when you're running, like, there'll be people listening to this podcast now and we spoke to a guy yesterday, right? Like, he had aspirations to run his own business, thought he was a business owner, but hasn't very quickly, because it's taken him a little while to work out that, okay, maybe I'm not so good at this part, but I really love this part. But he's been trying so hard that it's burning him out. And I went through that, you know? And it's just like, when's the time to let go and actually align yourself with other, letting go of that. What is it? It's like I'm letting go of the
It's the fear of failure as well, right? Because you're inbuilt into you that you can't give up, and and all the rest. It's not giving up; it's pivoting. It's only giving up if you sit there and and just don't do anything. Like that. That to me is when you quit. It takes a certain type of person to realise that it's not for them to do something. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people, especially in financial planning, become accidental business owners. Same in recruitment. It's an industry that's built around you can go and do it yourself. Your way or the highway, kind of thing, which is great, but it's not. I mean, there's running a financial planning business. I can tell you now is completely different to working in one. Just because you're a good financial planner does not mean that you're going to be a good business owner. Just because you're a good recruiter doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to, be a good business owner yourself. And it's not a bad thing. We need to get away from that. People need to harness what they enjoy and what they want to focus on. If I really like financial planning, what should I be doing? I should be giving financial advice all day, every day. I shouldn't have to be worrying about Gabriel returns. I shouldn't have to be worrying about making payments to suppliers. I shouldn't have to be making sure that my QuickBooks account is up to date. I shouldn't be making sure that this advert's in line. Some people actually enjoy that. And if you enjoy that, lean into it. But if you don't enjoy it and you just want to do something because you want to be on your own, find the place where that you can operate like that.
Oh, I love that. That's just kind of hit home, actually. It's that whole acceptance around the things that you're not so good at, acceptance around the things you are good at, spend more time doing the things you're good at, and work
and you enjoy.
Yeah,
you're passionate about it. You were passionate about this, doing this. This is what you were super passionate about.
I love creating content. I love meeting people. So like I'm a visionary as well, right? I've got growth mindset, and I've always got things in my mind that I want to do. I'm always a step ahead. I'm always a future thinker. And with that comes a bit of anxiety sometimes, because you're kind of always thinking, oh God, because you're nervous, you're not going to get to the thing that you want to get to.
Yeah.
It's like a dopamine addiction, man. You want to keep going. So I've got that vision in me. Like, it's like, well, I want to come into, I always wanted to build out a financial planning business. I wanted to be somebody from outside of the profession that came in and built one.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to run a financial advice business. I've already tried to run a business. I'm not a big fan of running a business, So coming into here, building out content, using that content to now pivot into becoming a key person of influence within the financial planning space. So I'm already that really in the career side. Now I want to come into it and go, right, well, how can I be a key person of influence within the professional connection side? So that's kind of how I see like the podcasting now. So we're going to be building out the Hoxton podcast, right? The Hoxton YouTube channel. Who can I connect with on an international basis that establishes us as that key company of influence, so we can start driving really good introducer relationships to us.
Yeah.
So how I see myself in the future is that person, a connector, and I love it, and and I can't wait to get to that point. And I can see that here because you're at that stage in growth and what you're thinking and how you visualize things. You're not turning around to me and saying, no, Sam, stay in your box.
Yeah.
You're saying, come on board, get on the bus, and let's drive forward together.
100%.
And I'm excited by that. It's like I met Bradley over in the US, top bloke. And
really nice guy.
And we really want to build out the US because it's a huge opportunity.
Huge.
And as soon as I started talking to people out there in the US, I got excited. I saw opportunity. And it's just like, oh my God, like, and I visualized the US for a long time. And now I have the opportunity to step over there and play in that sandbox.
Yeah.
I'm excited. And that's what I want people to understand about Hoxton. I know the market. I've been out there. I've been looking. I've been talking to people. It's an exciting business.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, it's exciting. Get on board. If you are sitting there and you're wearing all those fucking hats, right, and you're pissed off and you're getting home and you're stressed out and you're worried about this, that, and the other, but all you want to do is be a financial planner, come and join us.
100%.
Get on the bus, as we say, right?
Yeah, get on the bus. And look, I think number one is just about having the initial chat.
Yeah.
If you are sitting there at the moment and thinking, fuck. Well, I've got to make sure that everyone gets paid. I've got to deal with payroll. I've got to file this Gabriel return. Just have a chat. Just sit down, and it might not be for you. It might be completely the opposite to what you want. But until you have that chat, you never know.
No.
And I think for a lot of people who are feeling like that, genuinely, it's a great place because there is endless opportunity. There are not. And, I don't want to poo-poo anyone else, and we can come on to that in a minute. Maybe one of the problems with our profession is poo-pooing what other people do.
Yep.
For me, it's really around offering people multiple opportunity. There is not many businesses that you can start in the UK, decide, do you know what, Sam? I want to live in Dubai, but I want to service my UK clients. I don't want to give up my UK clients. I actually wouldn't mind living in Dubai, coming back and seeing my UK clients and servicing them.
Yep.
I want to service them a bit more remotely now because we can with the likes of things like Teams and Zoom and stuff like that. Live in the sunshine, all the rest of the stuff.
Yep.
Or I want to live in the US. Or actually, I've got some US clients that I want to work with. Or
Yep.
I've got some Australian clients. So it's endless opportunity, and we're not going to restrict you and go, no, you joined here, you must work there.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. It's really about creating a platform for people to excel and live life the way that they want to live it, which is important, but also for us to be able to work with them to build them up into the advisor that they want to be.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. We talked about poo-pooing there.
Yeah.
Right, let's touch on it because one of the things that really attracted me to you as well, like I'm a big collaboration, not competition man, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather learn from people, connect with people than tear somebody down. It's not my style. It's not your style.
No, definitely not.
Let's talk about that. Like why, what does that get on your tits when...
Well, number one is shit. Like, there's no other word for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I used to work for KPMG. If we did not win a piece of audit work against EY or a tax piece of work, we wouldn't start sending them articles about this other company and, slating them. Have you looked at this? Like you would go, good choice, fair enough. Where did we fail? What did we do wrong that meant we didn't win the business?
Yeah.
It wasn't sitting there slagging everyone off. We've got some amazing businesses in the international space. What people also need to remember is the way that companies used to operate is not necessarily the way that companies operate now. I would like to think the international space has become a lot more professional. It's become a lot more well established. We're just, again, talking openly. It's, let's say DeVere Group. I used to work for them for 7 years. I have not got a bad word to say about them. And I'm not saying, last time I said that, a lot of people actually on your podcast, a lot of people come back and said he's still working for Nigel. And I'm not bloody working for Nigel. I can guarantee that now. But the reason why I say that is that if you look at the people that started Skybound, that was Guardian, started life at DeVere. If you look at the people that run AHR Group now, they started life at DeVere. Holborn, Bob definitely didn't start at DeVere. GSB, other businesses, a lot of them have started their life off at DeVere. And Nigel, for everything that everyone wants to say about him, has created a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. People might not agree with the way that you do things. That's cool. Everyone can't do things the same way, and it'd be weird if we all did. But, and there's some things that go on that, probably shouldn't go on and stuff like that in different businesses. But they're not doing it to be malicious, I believe, most of the way. They're doing it because they're mistakes or they're oversights and things like that, and jumping on and trying to attack people. It doesn't do our industry and our business or our, the place that we operate all from and the profession that we all love any good. You just create a crap atmosphere. You create something that is toxic, something that is not good. And the only way that we're going to, move on as a business, attract outside capital, be able to increase our profession and make it, the qualifications that some of these guys have got now in the international space, they're qualified in the US, they're qualified in Australia, they're qualified in the UK, chartered status and stuff like that. That needs to be embraced. That needs to be looked at. That's a really cool thing that they've gone and done. That is the new breed of advisor. This old kind of ex-car salesman coming out and then selling, regular savings plans to everyone is pretty much done and dusted now.
Yeah.
So you don't survive doing that now. And that is the space that we're operating in. And I'm all about making sure that gets put on a pedestal and people respect the profession that we're in, because I'm super proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm super happy to call myself a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And I'm super proud of the qualifications I've got, and I'm super proud of all the people that we've put through qualifications and the other companies.
No, I love it. There's loads of people in your business that are highly qualified. I mean, lots of the power planners are sitting there, as I leave the office at 6 o'clock, they're sitting there doing their Series 65 training.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all super pumped to get qualified. They're all really intelligent, young, enthusiastic people that want to be qualified as professionals.
Definitely.
I'm not sitting in an office full of people that are waifs and strays, who've just deserted the UK because they want an easy life. These are
Just
people
living a life.
Yeah, they're coming out here to actually be professionals.
Definitely.
And I've been blown away actually by the quality within the business, for sure. Let's just talk about the future then. So where are we going then?
Look, for us as a business, I want to grow it to be the #1 international financial advice business. I want us to be the HSBC of financial advice. That is what I want more than anything. And, you know, I believe that we can get there. I believe that people massively overestimate what they can do in a year, but massively underestimate what they can do in 10. You know, the same from Bill Gates. Really great quote. I believe, you know, by the end of 2027, we'll be at 5 billion of assets. We will be well along our track of continuing our great organic growth, providing lots of opportunity to other advisors, continuing to develop our US, Australian operations, European operations. I'd love to have something in Asia by that point too. And have hopefully acquired a number of really good UK IFAs and built out that local presence. That's super important to us, and that's a real area that we see that we can make a difference in, and that we can work with some really great people. And, you know, again, we work, it's like this kind of secret person that we keep mentioning, but, you know, his point is there's not someone doing it really well in terms of how he sees it and how he visualizes it. And I've really bought into his vision. It's not my vision, that's his vision. And I've really bought into that, and I believe that he's the guy to execute that in the UK, and I'm super excited about it. Yeah, doesn't mean that what everyone else is doing is not right, but it's, you know, ultimately we want to do things our way, and I'm really excited to see where he can get with it.
It's an exciting time in the UK. There's a lot of people sitting there waiting for something decent to come along. That's going to turn their head. And I think I think your foresight around hiring me was brilliant.
Just saying.
But I think your investment in marketing, creativity, and technology is what I mean. I think you said like, oh, maybe we're a bit late to the table on that. No way you're late to the table. You're not. Like, if you look at the UK, you're not late to the table.
I mean, you're comparing it to an industry that is probably way far behind what others are doing. Like, we can't compare ourselves to other people in the independent financial advice business. We need to be comparing ourselves against about global, you know, industry leaders' technology. Are we where they are? No, we're not. Can we catch up? I believe we can, with a bit of hard work and making sure that we do the right things. And that's what we want to focus on. We want to benchmark ourselves against those types of people.
Another, you know, to end on it, one of the things the opportunities that I see, not a lot of firms are doing a lot to generate clients. Okay, they're not doing a lot around the marketing, the branding, establishing themselves as key businesses of influence that can add value, tangible kind of benefits to businesses and clients. You guys are doing that, and the future looks very, very bright around that. And that's where I see that huge opportunity, is that how can we give more people the tools to be financially free? And that makes me excited. When you talk about your app, it's for free, right?
For free.
And it's like, you want 1 million people using it. And as soon as you said that to me, it was like, wow, I've got so many ideas about how to get that app in the hands of the right people, and it's wide open. Like even just around a piggyback, you know, I'm not going to share the ideas because I don't want everyone nicking it, but around the piggyback marketing, right? There's a huge amount of influencers out there.
100%.
Why can't influencers start giving people an app? Why can't they start talking about an app?
100%.
You know, like there's so many people that are concerned about their finances. It causes such huge anxiety.
Definitely.
And when we look at the bigger picture, and I'm a big picture person, I like a higher purpose. Like with the financial plan of life, it was about, right, okay, well, if I create a podcast and it attracts new people to the profession, that's going to have a direct impact on people's mental health, their financial security, their financial health, their families. And it got me thinking, it was like, wow, that would have a hugely positive impact. And it's the same here. It's the same higher purpose thinking for me.
100%.
Is that, can I be part of a business that is going to actually improve the lives of individuals and their families? And I think money causes a lot of anxiety.
That's for everyone. For everyone.
And we want to solve that, right? That's the mission. And
that is the aim. That is a financial planner. That is what you want to do. You want to relieve that stress. You want to take that stress from someone, and you want them to, you want to understand their objectives, understand their goals, and you want to relieve any anxiety or stress that they've got around that, and let them know sooner rather than later if they're going to struggle to get there. Or let them know everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. Enjoy. You know?
I love it. Hoxton Wealth and Hoxton Health.
Exactly. We like that, don't we?
We do like that, Fantastic.
We keep coming back to that.
We do keep, we keep coming back to it. I love it. I wonder what let's listen. What do you think, audience? Hoxton Wealth, Hoxton Health. Hoxton Life. That's what this is. The Hoxton Life on the Financial Planner Life podcast. Chris,
love it.
It's been absolutely awesome catching up with you this time round. I'm loving the fact 3 years later, we're sat in Dubai, we're working together, and we're going to build the best international financial advice business out there.
We 1,000,000% are. It's going to happen, mate.
Brilliant.
Good man.
Top man. Love it.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.